Hey, good evening, everybody. I had some requests about the tent rack specifically. So, Tori, this video is for you, but anybody else who's interested in what's going on back here, it's not really a tent rack I've seen anywhere else. So there's a lot of little details and features going on. So I'll try and hit the main highlights here. So first thing you notice, the tent rack or bed rack doesn't actually sit on the bed sides like a lot of them. If you'll notice, it is its own complete separate structure. It's held down by these turnbuckles on the bed tie downs. So everything you see here that's attached to the rack actually all comes out as one unit. So lifts in, lifts out, everything stays attached. The only thing I need to undo is an electrical connection that's up underneath there to charges the secondary battery when the truck runs, and then the solar panel connection, which is on the roof of the cab. So anyway, that's the first thing. Second thing, you'll notice I have hanging underneath the tent here about 8 inches of box, and what that is storage. So it started because I needed a place to store the camp table. That just didn't, it stuck out like a sore thumb everywhere. So I hung it underneath the tent, and I'm like, wait a minute, there's lots of useful wasted space. Let's make use of that. So under here, I've got a contact switch here. So as soon as I open this, those will come on, those lights. So I have my fuse block, distribution block there, 12-volt outlet, and USB ports. There is the camp table. The store's up there. Just slides on out. Behind this trim panel right here is the stereo speakers. And then over here I still have some space, so I built this box, and this is my wife's storage spot, so whatever she can fit clothes wise she could bring. So it helped to reduce unnecessary costume changes, so to speak. So that's what's going on the side here. Now let's come around quick to the other side. Let's talk about the awning. So, awning, where do you want it? On the back, of course. That's where you're cooking, that's where the stove is, where the fridge is. That's where you're spending all your time, is on the back. But a 6-foot awning, or 2 meter, doesn't store across the back particularly well. It'd be too wide, you'd tear it on a tree. It would look dumb. So, it sits on the side here, which is pretty normal. You see the awning on one side. But why would you want the awning on this side? You don't spend any time over here. So what I've done is, if you look close, I have 2 sets of mounts. So these outer mounts that are short mount here along the side. There's a matching one forward. And then I have some short ones, or long ones rather. And those mount up top here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there's one there, and there's one over there. And so all I gotta do is lift the awning out of those mounts, set them in the other mounts, and then you have the wide awning on the back of your truck where you'll actually want and need it to cover you and your stuff. So that's how I address the awning problem. Now, over here I have the water heater. It's just an on-demand propane heater. It's just mounted to this little mount I made. I dimple dyed it and bead rolled on the back. I think it's made by Camp Chef. Works really well most of the time. Also right here I have, this is the water fill, so any garden hose you can hook to this. So I hook garden hose here, and then if you see this little valve right there, that valve closed, the garden hose will just pressurize the system, and so I can have what's called city water. Bypasses the tank of the pump and just does its own thing. If I open that valve, then the garden hose will fill the water tank. So, brief side about the water heater. It heats water really well. I mean, that's its job. But it sucks at keeping a consistent temperature at varying flow rates. So when you're trying to shower, just plumbed into the hot water side of the heater or through a mixing valve, it sucks. It's too hot, it's too cold, it's inconsistent. You waste water, and it just doesn't work well. So I got a little complex on the plumbing, a bunch of check valves, and this other ball valve you can kind of see back in there. So when I open that, what that does is it circulates water from the tank to the pump to the water heater and then back to the tank. So it just recirculates everything through the heater, and it heats the entire tank up to a consistent uniform temperature. And then I use that for showers. This is the quick disconnect port right here for the shower head, which I just keep under the seat. But with a consistent tank temperature that's warm or hot, however you want, it's much more pleasant experience for showers, and you don't waste near as much water. So that's what's going on over here and most of the plumbing. Now, in the back here, I have more of the rack that you saw. This is 1 5/8 tube here above. Below is just 1 inch square and then 2 inch angle iron along the sides. And you'll see for the chase light, I had to offset it upwards so that I could clear this door here. I have a latch. Door lifts up. You'll see how it needed that clearance in order to fully open. And then I call this just the stereo drawer because it's a drawer with a stereo. It also houses the switches, more 12-volt outlets. This is the solar charge controller. But the reason why I made it a drawer, put it on slides, is because you see underneath it has lights. So that pulls out, and I have lights above my stove here on the tailgate when I'm cooking, because that's where you want the lights. You don't need it behind the stove. It doesn't do any good. So it pulls out for better lights. Also, there's a little storage up top, but just knickknacks. And then over here, I have these gauges. This one reads just what the solar panel is doing. So right now it's kind of evening time. We're in the shade, so it's not making hardly anything, but we are actually not using hardly anything. We have a net charge of 0.05 amps, so we're pretty much, battery is full and it's just floating. So but those are kind of complex to wire. You can wire them to read a lot of different ways and things, but that was seemed to make the most sense at the time, so that's how I did it. And then under here, tailgate, there's the faucet, so the hot and cold water is plumbed there. I just built this with some skateboard bearings because drawer slides I found just would not hold up in the semi-exposed to the elements like it is. And then the latch here, it's just this big piece of aluminum bar that pivots here, and you just lift up on that, and the drawer slides out, and then it self latches. When you close it, it just ramps up and hooks. So you push that, pull it out. There is the fridge and fridge slide. There you can see a little bit more of the, I mean, there's not much to it. And then under the fridge, I have another drawer here that slides out, and under that is I have storage for my utensils and plates. And further in, there's the sink that folds up, dish soap, spatulas, other utensils, all that sort of thing is all stored underneath there. And yeah, so the slide, inside the slide, originally I'd made this to hold a camp stove, but I found that it works a lot better for both a work surface and as a place to put the sink. So anyway, that's what that is. So there's the major highlights. What you can't see is the battery and the propane bottle in the back there. You kind of see a little bit of the water tank. There's my oven in its bag, storage bag there. There's the awning room and tent annex, and their camp chairs are back in there too. So anyway, that's the major overview and highlights of the tent rack. If you have any specific questions or whatever, just let me know. Yeah, it's, you know, it's not that complicated, but you don't see too many set up like this. That's all, you see individual pieces, but I've never seen them all together like this, so it's somewhat unique. But anyway, that's the highlights of the 10 track. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.